Well, hello and welcome to the second night of the college webinar series, our straight to four-year panel. My name is Cynthia Barra, and I am an area director for the Boys and Girls Club of the Sequoias. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today and talk all about the college process and experience with you guys. With me this evening is a set of very remarkable young professionals here to talk about their experiences going from high school to four-year universities. All panelists are in their late 20s, early 30s, young professionals with college degrees. Raise your hand if you guys thought that maybe in 10 years after high school, you'd be in the current career or position that you are in now. Anybody?
No. Kind of, Valerie. We're going to have to hear about that, Valerie.
Any of you guys?
Over here.
Wow.
So Valerie, if you are actually in the current position you wanted to be 10 years ago, how does it feel?
Well, I'm barely getting started, so it took 10 years to get here, so it feels good. It feels really good. I never gave up on my dream, on what I really wanted to do, so it feels amazing.
So does anyone yet even feel like they have, their whole life together? Gilbert, you want to elaborate on that?
I mean, I think when you're in high school, you think, I'm 30. And so when you're in high school, 30 years old seems very adult and grown up. And then you hit 30 and it's like, absolutely, like, I just learned how to cook this year. You know what I mean? So it's still coming together. It's a process. It takes time.
Yeah, you're still making those small little strides within your life, not only in career, but, personal. All right. So without further ado, let me introduce you guys to our awesome panelists. We have Gilbert Felix, a Central Valley native. Gilbert Felix has worked for the elected officials throughout the region at the local, state, and federal levels of government. He is currently the district director of the Congressman T.J. Cox. Gilbert's work in government has been focused on the unique needs of rural communities in the areas of education and healthcare, social services, economic development, and transportation, as well as infrastructures. Gilbert earned his master's in public policy at the University of Southern California and is a proud Fresno State alumni. Okay, our next one, I see we have some bulldogs in the panel. Kat, I'm going to butcher your name. Can you help me out one more time? So Kat is originally from Porterville, currently living in Las Vegas. Kat received his undergraduate degree from San Diego State University. Kat is enrolled in classes and will soon be transferring to University of Las Vegas for a second bachelor's degree. He is currently a CAD technician with hopes of becoming a civil and construction engineer. Her time spent at SDSU was focused on international security and conflict resolution. Although her career switch may seem a bit odd to others, she still finds time to stay involved in immigration-based nonprofit organizations while doing what she loves within a new career field. Without exposure to secondary education, she would not have gained the network I have now, nor discovered my hobbies and passions, is what she claims, which is awesome. Next is Valerie Soto. Valerie is a special events coordinator for Boys and Girls Club of the Sequoias. She's been with us for almost a year and helps our resource development team fundraise for our clubs in Tulare County. Valerie loves helping and believes in making a difference in our community. Anytime she can help coordinate an event, she's definitely there. Besides having a passion for event planning, Valerie also spends most of her time outdoors and has a lot of experience coordinating summer camps, aquatic, and recreational sports programs. She has guided multiple outdoor excursions, including teens and adults all over California and parts of the Central and Southern America. Her passion for these adventures began while in college at Fresno State, where she later received her BS in Recreation Administration, Adventure, Leisure, and Tourism. Shortly after, Valerie started her career at Yosemite National Park, where she was able to put her passion together and help plan events for many adventurers in Yosemite. Today, she loves being a part of the Boys and Girls Club family, and while she works part-time, she is happy she can continue guiding hiking and backpacking adventures with her new outdoor company she launched this year. So congratulations, Valerie. Our next one is Felix Ledesma. Felix grew up in Porterville. He's been living in Fresno for about 10 years, graduated, and after graduating high school at Monachi, Felix moved to Fresno to attend Fresno State. So Felix earned a bachelor's degree in psychology. He is also a photographer and a published writer. And Victoria Chung. Victoria, huh?
It's like, it's funny because
Victoria Chung.
So for being a writer.
Oh, it's okay. You will provide us with lots of info with your college experience, Felix, so you will definitely make up for that. Victoria Chung. Victoria was born and raised in Central Valley. She still considers herself a Porterville hometown, her hometown. After high school, she attended College of the Sequoias and Porterville College before transferring to an CSU Long Beach. She earned her bachelor's in political science with an emphasis in law, politics, and policy. After working for various elected officials at the state and local level for about 4 years in the Long Beach area, she decided to pursue her master's degree from UC Irvine in urban and regional planning. Today, she works in Fresno for a private environmental consulting firm as an environmental planner. Thank you, Victoria, for being here. Cynthia Ibarra. Cynthia Barra is an area director for the Boys and Girls Club of the Sequoias. She's overseeing the operations for the ACES sites in Porterville. Cynthia started her career with the Boys and Girls Club of the Sequoias in 2017 as an American Corps volunteer coordinator. At the end of the American Corps contract, Cynthia became the site director at the Burton Middle School site. Cynthia is an alumni of UC Santa Barbara, where she majored in theater. Cynthia is passionate about her personal development as well as self-actualization. Outside of work, you'll often find her in the midst of creating a life she's in awe of. Cynthia lives her life with the view of anything's possible and is on a mission to help empower kids of the Central Valley to live as if anything is possible, which is amazing. Thank you, Cynthia. All right, so thank you all for being here this evening and sharing all your awesome experiences. If you guys have any questions, any of the attendees, now is the time to put them in the question and answer box to find in the gray area on your screen. Okay, so if anybody has any questions. All right, so moving on. Cynthia, can you now give us a brief overview of what the college application process is?
Sure. So I'm gonna approach it in a different way. So what I'm gonna talk about today is, things I wish I would have known as I was applying for college or just kind of in high school. I wish someone would have told me this my freshman year of school. And please, fellow panelists, if you have any suggestions or anything that you remember too, please chime in with me as well. So what I wish I'd known is that, in order to get the best possible outcome in applying to school, you should focus on it as soon as possible. So I often tell people, if you want to get into your very top choice, you got to start your freshman year, right? And so one of the things that you can do is figure out where you want to apply. So think about what is it that you're looking for in a college, research your schools, and then create like a list of schools that you can apply to. So, you know, some that you feel like, oh, I'm not going to get in, apply to them anyway, and then get some schools that you're like, okay, I meet all the requirements, I'm going to be able to, you know, get into this school, because you never know what they're looking for, or, you know, what they see in your applications. Another thing is build great teacher and counselor recommendations. So throughout your entire high school career, because you don't know who, you know, can write you a letter, right? And you want to have as many options of teachers to go to, or coaches or counselors to ask and say, hey, can you write me a letter of recommendation, you know, for this school as well. You can build relationships by, you know, making sure that you turn in all your assignments on time, you're a good student, you get your good grades, and then you know, talk to them about your goals in life, and hopefully they can help you out and put you in the right direction. And then you got to ask them, right? You know, one of the big things is when you're applying to college, you got to go and ask for those letters of recommendation. So don't be afraid of going to them. I took my friends, like, because I was too nervous to ask them on my own. So I was like, okay, come with me, just stand right next to me while I just ask them for a letter of recommendation. And my friends were eager to do that for me too. And then follow up in writing. You know, I think most teachers wouldn't expect to get a thank you note, but you know, they do take their time out to write you a letter, and they put a lot of thought and consideration. And so sending a thank you note is, you know, something that I think you should do. And then, you know, with your school counselors, they have a lot of kids that they're working with. And so if you really want to use them as a resource, you got to really be the one who is asking them the question, saying, this is what I'm approaching. These are kind of my challenges. Is there anything that I can do to resolve those? So one thing I learned from my counselor was that I could get my application fees waived because of you know, my parents' financial status at the time. So I qualified for fee waivers for those. And so that was a big help because, you know, you do have to pay a fee when you're applying as well, but you can get those waived. You know, with COVID and everything, standardized tests like SATs and ACTs are, you know, a little all over the place, but I think I was talking to Victoria earlier, they're still kind of requiring them, or they're still kind of thinking that they do want these tests. And so my recommendation is taking some time, know that like these are the things that you're gonna have to take, and know that there's classes that you can take to help you increase your score so that you know how to take these tests, or there's books that you can check out from the library. You know, that's a really easy resource to use, and they have all these test prep books. I read through one and my scores increased, and I got more competitive scores, and so I know that it's like possible to increase your scores on a test. You just got to learn how to take that test. They're very specific, and so know that you can, you know, increase your scores just through a little bit of practice as well. Take the time to write out your college essays, have someone read them that's objective. I gave them to my parents, and my parents think I'm amazing, so everything I do is amazing. So not the best people reading your college essays though. You want someone who's gonna say, hey, you know, you need to rework this section, or like, hey, like I wasn't really understanding what you were trying to say here, so that you have the strongest possible kind of essay when you're turning in your application as well. And then, you know, during your college or your high school kind of life, make sure that you engage in extracurricular activities like volunteering, or if you're in sports and just clubs, things that you like to do. It makes you a well-rounded person, so you have something else to talk about other than school. But also these experiences help set you up for, you know, things that you want to do in college. If you want to join clubs, or if you want to join a sport, you have that background and you can talk to other people about similar interests. You can also use the things that you do in high school to get your first job. And, you know, some of us got our first jobs in college too. So those experiences are important, and schools want to know that like you're not just, you know, one-dimensional. You know, they want to know the whole person as well. And then get the best grades that you can, you know, that is going to help you set up for success. And know that like even if you have to tough classes, like reach out for help, get some tutoring, ask your teachers, hey, you know, can I meet you at lunch so that we can go over this because I'm not getting it. The teachers will work with you if you go and ask for that help, and then you will get those better kind of grades to really show yourself off on an application. And then lastly, just senior year, just know all your deadlines. College Board is a good resource that gives you all the checklist of what you should be doing every single year. So you can create an account and it'll give you all the different things that you can do. Okay, I'm a freshman, this is what I should be focusing on. Okay, now I'm a sophomore, I should maybe take my PSATs. I should maybe, you know, start reaching out and, you know, doing some classes for SAT prep or ACT prep. And just knowing your deadline senior year, turning things in on time, giving yourself enough like time so that it doesn't feel stressful or, you know, that you feel rushed in the process when you're applying. And so it's a lot smoother, it's a lot more enjoyable, and you can really remember it as something that like you accomplished versus like, oh man, that was tough, you know, never want to do that ever again, you know. So that's just kind of my gist of the college kind of application and just things that you should be doing in high school and things that I wish that someone would have, you know, told me.
Well, thank you, Cynthia. All that was very informative because, in all honesty, it is nice to get, you know, somewhat of a rundown. You know, you're right when you mentioned about going with your friends to ask for those letters. I mean, sometimes in high school we want to, you know, do the power number, so we want to go together, but we appreciate that. Okay, so let's start with some of our questions. This question is for everyone. Why did you guys choose the college to go to college right after high school? Did you guys think about any other options? But why was it that you went from high school straight to the four-year college? So anybody can answer this question.
It was closer to home, like going to Fresno State, and to me it was like a less expensive school too. And then I think just getting out of like a small city from like Porterville to Fresno to me was like a huge change. I mean, I know like Los Angeles and you got like San Diego that are like way bigger cities, but compared to Porterville, Fresno was like a big city. So to me it was like kind of overwhelming as it was. So I was like, maybe this is like the perfect place to start. And then if I ever do want to higher my education, I can go to like a bigger city if anything. But it was closer to home and less expensive. That was what moved me in that direction.
Okay. Anybody else? Why did you guys go straight? I mean, you could have either had your option of going to community college or maybe taking a gap year trade school. What made you guys decide to go, you know, straight into just the four-year experience of college?
For me, in all honesty, I just wanted to get out of Porterville. I was so done. I really was like, I am out of here. Peace. I want to go see the world, right? And so I think, you know, for me, my senior year, I was ready to get out and experience something different and really get started on a career in a life that was just a little different from what I was living.
Yeah, same thing with Cynthia. I went to San Diego State, and San Diego is definitely a larger city to tackle. But I was fortunate enough to have a majority of my family there. When we came to America, San Diego was our home. It was our headquarters. So transitioning there was pretty easy. I mean, then again, my story is a lot different, or you know, in regards to going straight to a four-year. My grandmother was very ill, so going to San Diego was like, okay, that's my way of continuing my education and also being able to see my grandmother before she would pass. So that's what kind of motivated me to continue my education there. And also San Diego State had the major specifically that I wanted to you know, go towards. So yeah.
What was that, Kat? What was that major?
International Security and Conflict Resolution, Cooperation and Conflict Resolution. So it's a mouthful.
And you minored in?
I minored in Islamic and Arabic studies.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
that's super cool.
How about you, Gilbert?
I had an interesting journey. So I did end up graduating from Fresno State, but from college, I went straight to San Francisco State. Or I'm sorry, from high school, I went straight to San Francisco State, and that was actually the only school I applied to. That was when I was 17 years old. So don't ask me why I did that. I don't remember. But I just applied to one school, San Francisco State. And I think, like so many other first generation college students, your parents don't know how to help you apply to colleges. And so I relied heavily on friends and guidance counselors. And quite frankly, it wasn't a lot of great advice that I got. So in my mind, San Francisco State was in the Bay Area, far away from home, and was frankly a part of my calculus was it was a place where I wouldn't need a car, right? So that I could explore the Bay Area, hopping on Muni or BART. And so that was my 17-year-old thought process. And what actually ended up happening was that I transferred from San Francisco State my sophomore year back home to Fresno City College, because it just wasn't the right fit for me. And then from Fresno City College, I transferred to Fresno State and then eventually graduated. So a meandering path, but it worked out.
How about you, Valerie? What made you decide to just go straight?
I knew I wanted to just do something that not a lot of people did, and I know a lot of my friends went to community college, which is like totally okay, but I knew I wanted to work for going somewhere else, and just like everyone else, I wanted to get out of where I was at, and I wanted to explore more. And the reason why I chose Fresno was because it was close to the mountains, and I knew I wanted to be there, and so that's why. And it was like far enough but yet close enough to come back home. But I actually wouldn't come back home. My mom would go visit me. I'm like, Mom, I'm supposed to be on my own now, But yeah, I knew I wanted to really just like be out on my own and try new things.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we do have a question in the Q&A. This one, I think anybody can maybe answer, even Cinthia, especially Cinthia. How would you apply to get your application fees waived?
Okay, okay, so all I remember, and you guys chime in on this because it's been a while since I applied for college. I remember talking to my counselor, and we got like a code, and then when you're applying to schools, you would enter that code, and they would waive it. Does someone remember correctly if that was the case?
Yeah, that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That's basically what it was. I do remember though that not all applications could be waived. I'm not sure if that was dependent on the university or not. Maybe things have changed, but I do remember having about 3 of my applications waived.
I want to say public schools will waive it for you. I think if it's a private, I think the privates get a little trickier.
And where did you guys go to? What website in particular? Was there anything, on the college website that you would go to apply for that?
No, I think just talking to your high school counselor, like they should know, and they should be able to assist you with that. I know, I don't know if you guys remember, but like come junior, senior year, the people who were applying to schools, like counselors would come and talk to you and say, okay, what, do you need anything? These are kind of some scholarships that, you might be able to apply for. You qualify for these waivers. So here's this code, come back if you need another one. And so I know I went back a few times to get these codes. But just really that's the importance of talking to your high school counselor and, you know, if that high school, because you get assigned a high school counselor, if that one's not helping you, you know, making sure that you reach out to a different one as well. Know that they're all there to help you too. And if you're not getting that support that you need, ask someone else.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, next question again for everyone. What were you the first person in your family to go to college? Or any of you guys just the first one?
Yes.
I think all of you were, right?
You were, Gilbert?
Everybody here? Everybody here?
I think everybody.
I had an older sister.
Oh, okay. See, my mom beat me by that much, and then she got her BA like a couple years before I went off to college. So.
Oh wow.
Oh. How about you, Valerie? Were you the first one? And yours?
Yeah, I was the first one, and it was really scary because I mean my parents spoke no English, and every time I had to get help with anything, I filled out my parents' financial aid part, and it's so funny because I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, and the next sister after me actually didn't go to college, but the third sister, when she was trying to sign up for financial aid, she was like, Val, do you remember Dad's financial aid pin? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't. It had been so long. But yeah, I was the first one, and it was really tough for me. But I, just like Cynthia mentioned, I really relied on this high school counselors. And our high school had a career center, and the person there thankfully helped me out so much. And she was like my mentor and just really helped me out through the entire thing.
That's awesome. This kind of goes into, it is stressful. You're right, Victoria. I mean, I didn't go straight to college. I went to junior, and it was still same thing as Valerie. I was filling out my own stuff, and I didn't have that guidance. So I wish there was like a college panel like this so I could have attended and gotten that information. But this kind of goes into the next question I have for you guys, whoever wants to maybe chime in and answer it. What was your experience like applying to college, like right out of high school? I know Valerie kind of gave us a little bit of a idea of what hers was. How about the rest of you guys? What was your experience? You know, having to just complete or fill out your college applications, you know, apply, getting your letters. What was your experience like?
It was difficult because
Mm-hmm.
the deadlines and knowing what to do, especially because I felt that I was in a position where I was never approached about like college, or I never looked into it. So like I always thought that you graduated high school and you went straight to college. Like I didn't know that you had to apply and do all these things. So literally senior year, and then days before deadline, I asked the teacher, and then the teacher reached out, and then she got me in touch with a counselor, and they literally helped me go through everything within like a couple days.
Wow.
So that was like, it goes back to I'm a first year. I've graduated. I'm the only person in my family that graduated from college, so there's no support. And then I felt like there was no support either through like the school system. So I was one of those left behind individuals that like didn't know anything. So like Cynthia mentioned, like asking questions and doing the research, especially right now, like you guys have the beauty of the internet. But I think back then we had the internet, but you still had to go get some books and research some stuff. Like,
Not that old.
now it's like,
Not that old.
you don't have to go to the library.
I had dial-up. But I had AOL online. Not that old.
So would you guys say for your experiences, it is beneficial and it is helpful to have that extra support that maybe you guys can reach out to, whether it be friends, if it's not family, you know, your counselors, and go beyond that? So what advice would you give to those that are listening to us, you know, those young individuals that maybe feel like they have no one they can maybe go to at the moment if they're almost, you know, going to be graduating? Any advice?
There's a lot of people that you can reach out to. I mean, there's with the beauty of social media today too is you can actually, you know, you can like easily ask a question and there will probably be thousands of people internationally that can chime in on their experience and help you. I was fortunate enough to be an Avid student, so I had that help prep me geared towards, you know, preparing for college, but it still wasn't, you know, it was helpful.
Can you tell them what Avid is?
Avid. I don't know what it stands for, but I remember it was great. It was kind of like it was a program that allowed students, usually from usually marginalized backgrounds, kind of help them prepare for colleges. And that's not just, you know, it was definitely, it was a diverse group of students all kind of put together, and it helped kind of gear us towards where we needed to go. It was something that, looking back on it, I wish I kind of took more advantage of what it had to offer. And if anything, I wish I was, you know, I wish I was more able to kind of help share the experience with my friends who weren't placed in Avid. But then again, there's a lot of programs in high schools now that kind of set up students for the secondary education success. I know Wenatchee has like MESA, which follows more part of like STEM classes and things like that.
Thank you. And then for those, it's Valerie went ahead and provided us the answer for Avid: advancement via individual determination, which is academic support for grades, making sure that, you know, you're getting through your 7th to 12th year of high school, and it provides a lot of support, information, and resources to guide you through, you know, your high school career for 4 years.
Thanks, Valerie. Oh yeah, and also take AP classes too. A lot of the AP classes can help definitely set a foundation regarding how to transition into a 4-year, because that was a lot.
That is something I wish I would have done, because it saves you so much money and time. And if you could just do it for free while you're in high school and take the test, you don't have to worry about that at all once you're in college.
Right.
I will note, you do have to make sure that you're studying for these classes, because they are a little more rigorous than your regular classes. So
Right.
yeah, make sure that you do put in the effort to those. But the reward is, like Valerie said, like you get a big reward at the end. You get more college credits. You come in with that, and there's a less class that you have to take, especially if you want to get through your general education really quickly.
Good, thank you. Okay, next question we have is, why did you guys pick your university? I know Gilbert touched a little bit on this for himself as far as San Francisco. I know Kat, you also mentioned it, but give us a little bit more detail as to why you guys picked the universities that you went to. So this question is for anybody.
I guess I'll go back to it was closer to home and less expensive. I mean, like I said, like I never did the research. Like I didn't have the time to do the research. So I just kind of applied to that, and I think with like 2 other schools, and I got accepted there first. So I was like, I'll just take that one. And I'm sorry that there's a more significant answer to that, but I mean that's the reality, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really good school now,
Cynthia?
for sure.
Yeah. No, but Felix, that is the reality, right? You
Yeah.
know, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but so I applied to 5 schools. I wish I would have applied for more, especially because I was getting so many like application fees waived. Then I think I would have had a bigger range of school choice. I got into 3, and this is really taking me back to who I was at 17, guys. So I got into Cal State LA, Cal State Long Beach, and UC Santa Barbara. I wanted to go to USC, didn't get into there, and I saw a question like, how was my reaction? When I got my rejection letter from USC, devastating. I cried for days. I was really upset about it, and there is, some schools will say if you wanted to rethink your decision, resubmit, application and supplemental material. I chose not to do that. I think I just didn't have the resiliency at that time. And then my mom had gone to Cal State Bakersfield, and again, I was 17 at the time, and I was like, I want to go to a UC since my mom went to Cal State. So that's who I was at that age. So I kind of was left with no choice. It was like UC Santa Barbara. My mom did take me around and we checked out the campuses. And on one of those tours, someone said, listen, you're going to be living here for 4 years, right? So really pick somewhere that you can see yourself living for the next 4 years. And after looking at all the campuses, I was like, you know what? I think I'll go with UCSB. It's on the beach. My parents would bring us up to Santa Barbara when I was growing up, and it's really beautiful here. I think I can grow to like it. I grew to love it, so it ended up being a good choice for me.
Thank you. Anybody else? I know that you mentioned your reaction to your acceptance letter. What were your guys' reactions, when you guys received those acceptance letters? I've always seen it, the kids in the movies, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I getting in? Big envelope, fat envelope means you got in, or, what were your guys' reactions?
I think my mom framed like all the acceptance letters, or she put them in a photo album. And at one point,
Aww.
I know, right? It was cute because I was like, damn, we're going to college, Mom. At one point, actually, I got an acceptance letter from, I believe it was San Francisco State, and I didn't even know about it. It was like already in the photo album. So I was like, yeah, I was like, wait a minute, where was this?
What?
But I mean, she was just excited. I didn't get into, I applied to UC Berkeley because, Berkeley is that political science campus that, I really wanted to be a part of. And they actually made it based on contingent. I was qualified to enter there in the spring, as long as similar to Cynthia's, as long as you submit more paperwork and kind of just be more resilient. But at that point, it was more like a time crunch on getting I mean, but also on that, just having, my family there waiting for me in San Diego State was basically what I was set on doing. The campus itself was beautiful. I already had childhood friends that were there, so they were kind of more like taking me in. They were a year older, so they were like, yeah, we'll go here. I'll take you there. So that's also why I kind of chose my university.
Anybody else? Excitement.
Even though I transferred to Long Beach, mine was a phone call. So you had to call a number, and then they would tell you like,
oh, wow,
you get in or you don't get in. And it was like, congratulations, Victoria, you've got, and I was like, yes, oh my God. I screamed so freaking loud. My parents thought something was happening. But it was, at the time, it was a phone call, which was weird because I thought I was going to get an email. Other schools got emails. I got emails for, but this one was a phone call. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So at least you kind of heard a live recording, right?
Yeah, I heard a recording.
feel like being rejected on a phone.
And I know a lot.
Yeah, it would get a lot worse.
That would suck. Yeah, that would be terrible. I'm so
I'm
sorry.
just wondering if they have those, you know, you get the letter, okay, but if they say, yeah, sorry, you know, try next time. We do have
like,
a
here's a
question. An emoji. We have two questions, so let me go with the first one. Are you guys still friends with the friends you had in college? So any friends that you know you found in college, are you guys still friends?
Yeah. I've actually lived with two of them. It's insane. You're literally, you know, yeah, you're growing with people in high school, but you're so you're kind of in this bubble, you know, it's very comfortable. You're being taken care of by your parents, you know, you have life is set up for you, and then the umbilical cord gets cut. And, you know, and some people are trying to balance transitioning into a new city, taking more credits than what they thought they can handle, trying to wake up for an 8 a.m. class even though it's not necessary, things like that, you know. And then on top of that, you know, you're also trying to find jobs, or you know, trying to figure out where you fit in, because for me, my campus was about 30,000 people. That's half the population of Porterville.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I was just thinking about that now.
It's wild, yeah. And you know, and I lived in the dorm, so it was like when I met my floor mates, it was like, hey guys, we're gonna tackle all of this together. So you know, it's honestly, you're building your future for yourself, but also you're building it with others. And I keep in contact with them all the time. I'm the godparent to a bunch of college friends' babies. Like, I've been in weddings, you know, it's insane. And yeah, I love it.
Awesome. So what are some of your best social memories of college friendships, etc.? I know that's another question someone has. What are some of your best social memories? I saw Gilbert's eyes light up. Gilbert, would you like to go ahead and talk to us about that? We want to hear.
Well, you know, I think to echo Kat, I still on the last question, I don't think I have very many friends from high school left at all. Maybe like 2 or 3. 90% of my friends are from college, and it is to that fact that you're living with these folks in a dorm or an apartment. You're suffering through 8 a.m. classes, just like you said, Kat. So it's a yes. Most of my friends and my network, my professional network, even is folks from college, and a big contribution of that is because of the shenanigans that we got into. And so when I was at Fresno State for my junior and senior year of college, I joined a fraternity. And so I don't want to get too far down the path of Greek life, but that is what most of my social interactions and memories are from. And it's fun. There's no other way to say it. It's just fun. You know, you're 20 years old, you don't have a lot of responsibility, you're schlepping yourself to classes, hopefully not at 8 a.m., but at a reasonable hour, noon. But
noon.
Greek life is fun. Getting involved on campus with just different clubs and organizations is fun. Joining student government. I mean, if somebody's doing, you know, club sports or actually playing a sport for their university or their college, those are just invaluable memories that you'll always have, friendships that you'll always have. It's fun. It's a huge part of college life, especially the 4-year, the going straight from high school to a 4-year. It's huge. That's really just the bulk of the experience. You know, go to class, study, do well, but it's those social interactions that really create a rich experience.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We have another quick question too. How did you guys decide what to major in, and what pushed you to choose it? So I know some of you guys indicated what your majors were. What made you decide to do that?
Kat, let's hear yours.
Yeah, Kat. Crazy minor.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Please state your major one more time. Very
I want to
slow.
know why I chose it too, guys. Come on now. It's international security and conflict resolution. My emphasis is cooperation and conflict resolution. My minor is Islamic and Arabic studies. So just a quick background as to why I chose it and as to why I chose my emphasis. It's mainly because my life goal was to work with refugees, asylees, and immigrants. And I actually did have a chance for years to work with them through my network and my major. But yeah, the reason why I chose it was that was my goal. I'm from a family of war refugees, so it was like, you know what, someone gave a chance. They took the chance and they gave my family, the opportunity to come here, and we had people help us. So I wanted to do the same thing. And the reason why I chose Islamic and Arabic Studies is because in San Diego, a large majority of the refugees coming into the city are, they're Iraqi, or they're Kurds, or they're from the Horn of Africa. Although their primary language isn't Arabic, they do speak Arabic, and also their religion is Islam. So I just kind of wanted to be more grassrooted with the people resettling within San Diego. I was actually fortunate enough to have an internship with International Rescue Committee, and that was for my junior and senior year. So I was actually a citizenship tutor, and it was kind of cool. I had students that would come in after their swear-ins with the little flag and all that, and it reminded me of when my parents got their citizenship and they had their little flags too. So it definitely hit close to home as to why I chose my major. So yeah, it was just a part of my personal identity that and that's why I wanted to continue studying it. And I made friends with joining ISCOR Student Society. I joined Amnesty International on campus, things like that. You find what inspires you and what you're passionate through what you're eager to learn, and that's what going to San Diego State helped me realize.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else want to share with us why you picked your major?
I just want to hear Valerie, because Valerie has a interesting major too.
Yes, I know. You're right, Cynthia.
Well, truth be told, I actually had chosen kinesiology first, and I got to learn all the muscles and bones in my body, but I was walking down the one of the buildings, and I saw a big billboard with like kayaking adventures, hiking adventures, and I was like, what is this? And it said, take or join our recreation department. So I talked to them, and I was like, is this a major? And they were like, yeah, it is. And I saw like all the different emphases you can major in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can I switch my major like today? So I did. But I was already my third year in. So I ended up minoring because I was basically like pretty close to finishing. And so I just minored in kinesiology, and then I added 2.5 more years and finished with recreation. But
a lot of people don't know what kines is. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so kinesiology is the study of human movement or the body movement. It's like a really big umbrella. And the way I explain it is, you could be a PE teacher, you could be an exercise therapist, you could be a kinesiotherapist, you can help, it's part of sports medicine. So if you guys watch like football teams, basketball teams, softball, soccer. If you see those people like squirting the Gatorades in the football player's mouth, they're kinesiology majors. I mean, besides doing that, they tape ankles and fingers and stuff. So they just help athletes if they're injured, and then help them to prevent from getting injured.
Interesting you switched, but
Yeah.
I bet you're happy.
Oh yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it took me, I graduated in 2016, 2017 by the time I was done with my internship. So it took me 3 years to then finally get started again on what I had gotten my degree with. But yeah.
That's cool. Okay, we have 2 new questions as well. For any of the panelists, if you guys can relive your college experience, including expenses, the moving away, and other struggles you guys had to go through, will you guys do it again? Valerie's shaking her head yes. I mean, would you guys just kind of relive it? Same. Doesn't matter.
No regrets. There's
no regrets.
Instantly, actually.
No regrets.
With like $550 in my bank account, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think that.
Why is that? How was your experience? I know you guys are saying yes with the struggle, but it's different for each of you guys. So why is it that you would still completely do it all over again? Same exact thing.
I think it's a time where you really come into your own. I often tell people it's not just about getting a bachelor's degree. I mean, that's like one of the benefits of going to college, but like everyone's talking about, you get a whole network. Like, I know whenever I see UCSB alums, like, it's just like a shared kind of community and a shared experience, and everyone's kind of like, oh, we remember that time and we remember that place. And, you can really use them as a network, right? And it just, you get to meet so many different people. You get to, really get out of like whatever area you were living in. So like Porterville's super small kind of town. And so my horizons really expanded when I went to Santa Barbara. And I really got to know different people from different types of cultures and different types of like communities. And so, it was just a really good time. It was really exciting. And so, of course, like I say, it's one of the best, times of my life.
Felix, do you want to tell us about yours? Because Felix's story is a little bit different. Like we talked about
Felix. Thank you, Victoria. Yes, Felix, share.
I would actually do everything the same and end up in the same place. I think because like the way I think, the way I am, it would not have been possible if I would have stayed in Porterville or like kept myself there. I think coming out to college, like whether you get your degree and end up with that, and end up in that career, it's whether you do or you don't, you still, everything you learn, you use it to your advantage. So like becoming a psychology major, graduating, and then actually putting it into practice and having a job in psychology, and then finding out that that's not what you want to do. And then, but then everything you learn, you use it on something that used to be a hobby, and it becomes something that turns into a career path. And I think that would not have been possible, or if I would have just like not came out to college or done any of that. I mean, if you were to ask me back in 2009 if I would ever write a book, I would have laughed at you.
Show us your books. Show us your books.
Okay. If you would have asked me, I wrote my first book at 25. If you would have asked me 3-4 months before I started writing it, I would have laughed at you too, because I wasn't in the position to want to write a book. But, so here's my first book. This is my baby.
I have that one.
And this is the second one. This one I just released this year. And there's another one on the way. But both of these books, if you guys are interested, you can find them on Amazon. And you actually find them, you would have to type in my name and then just like that, and then it'll pop up. I'm not famous enough for it to just pop up. Like, search it.
One day, Felix, you'll get
one
there.
day, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good lesson to learn for a lot of people is just because you major in something and you go into college with a degree in mind, it changes. College changes the way you think. College, the whole experience is supposed to be for you to discover yourself. Mm-hmm. It's okay to change. I've changed my major, I don't know, like 5 times. It was a journey.
So tell us about what your journey was, Victoria. You said you switched it 5 times. So what were some of the different majors you went through?
So unlike everybody else who's overachieving here, I had to go to community college first because my parents, it was during the recession, and my parents told me I had to go to community college first because money. So I decided, okay, let's take this time to explore some careers in community college. So I did, I think journalism was my first one. I started doing some interviews with people and talking to people and actually writing articles, and that wasn't for me. Then I did fashion, took a class. The professor didn't know how to say Tommy Hilfiger. So I was like, nah, that's not for me. I'm not doing this anymore. Then it went to business marketing. And that's why I transferred to Cal State Long Beach, was because they had a really robust marketing program. And that's what they were known for, was marketing. So that's why I did marketing. And then in community college, because I was involved with the COS Young Democrats, College Democrats, I got really into politics, and it just, the political bug bit me. And at Long Beach, I decided to take political classes along with marketing classes, and the political classes just outweighed the marketing classes by a ton. Like, there was just so much more information. I felt way more fulfilled intellectually by the classes. I wasn't just like reading and just learning vocab like you do in business classes. So I made the switch, and I think that was my fourth switch. So I went from marketing to poli-sci, and that's what I got my degree in.
That's awesome. We have 3 questions, but one of those questions actually hits to what you kind of told us about your career choices, your major pathway, Victoria. What do you guys recommend for someone who doesn't know what they want to major in, to go ahead and get their career going in? What do you guys suggest for those individuals?
I don't know. People might hate me for this, but there's so many courses. Like, if you actually go through that book, it's probably not even a book anymore. It's probably online.
The catalog?
Yeah, the catalog. I still have it. So there's so many things that you can go through and like try out. Again, you pay for these classes. That's the bad part. But I mean, jumping into something and trying it out, whether you do it in school or maybe outside of school, like research, like again, you have the internet now, so you can research it. You have YouTube too. YouTube will show you a lot. So like researching it and finding out a little bit more about it, like I think that'd be helpful. If you really want to, you could take the course there and check it out. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people do. I know that's what I did with like my general ed. I try to like, I tried to stay away from courses because my first major was pre-med. So I tried to stay away from courses that weren't like pre-med that way, or had to do with anything with biology or chemistry. That way I could experiment and see what I like. And that's actually how I became a psych major. I took a intro to psych class, which I didn't have to. I took it, and the teacher literally converted me. Like, I went to like 2 classes, and I was like, this is it. Like, I want to be like the way he presented and taught his class. I was like, I want to be in his shoes one day. Like, or if not, I want to be like how he is, his experience. Because the guy was so experienced. Like, he knows so much. He did so much. So that itself was like, just convinced me. Like, so it's crazy how even just one person can, or one class can change your whole major. And that's kind of what happened to me.
Anybody else have some advice for that? That is a good point, Felix. Go ahead, Valerie.
I would say definitely volunteer. Like, if you even if you don't think like they take volunteer, I would say just call, email, and just say, hey, do you guys take volunteers? Like, just to go shadow, or just to even get a tour of what they do. And that way you can kind of see, like, if you want to be a police officer, you can do, a ride along. If you want to work as a lawyer, like I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think I would love if like a high school student were to ask me, hey, can I just shadow you for one day? Like, or, and I would say, yeah, like, absolutely. And then, set up a meeting. I agree with Victoria. When you're 17, 18 years old, it is absolutely okay to not know what you want to do for the rest of your life. And I think that is one of the most underrated things. Like, I think we all feel like we, at 18, when we step out of high school, we should know what we want to do forever. And that's not once you go to college, it's like overwhelming because there's so much you can do. Like, I had no idea Kat's major was a major, and I had no idea recreation was a major. But everything is so unique out there, and there will be something for you, and you will figure that out if you look for it. But you just have to get out there and really show yourself and try and find that experience by volunteering, or just doing the research, or, just really just looking for it.
Yeah,
Also,
that makes
well, if you're undeclared too, I would probably suggest, going to the club meetings that every major has. Again, like, I joined Is Core Student Society, and that kind of like was the catalyst to make me super passionate about, what we're learning. Also, a lot of the advisors for these clubs for these majors are your professors, or your future professors. So that kind of gives you a good insight of what what they do, what they're about, and if that falls into line with what you want to do, then that's a good way to approach it.
And then last, I like to wrap it up. I have 2 suggestions that I was given, or I heard when I was an undergrad. And one was, there's always a bookstore where you buy all your textbooks, right? Unless that's changed too. Who knows? Everyone's reading books now or something. But anyways, at least at UCSB, there was like, our bookstore. And I think there's a professor say that one of the things that he recommends is go through all the textbooks, go through the aisles and read through the books and see if they're interesting. When something catches your eye, take that class, right? I also had a student that I met, and she was undeclared, and she said she took all the like intro classes, so all the 101 classes or the 1 classes. There's a bunch of intros to every single major, and so if you had an interest in one of those, take that intro class, see how that goes, and that can give you a little bit of a direction in which to go with.
good advice. We have a question from Alice. What were some extracurricular activities that you guys took? If any.
Like I said, I was in a fraternity, which is very extracurricular. And on that note, right, like under the Greek system, there's two different types of fraternities and sororities. There's social, which is what I was in, and there are professional fraternities. There's like a law and justice fraternity. I think there's a business fraternity. There's also multicultural fraternities, right, that are focused on the Latino community or the Black community or the API community, LGBTQ community as well. So there are different types of fraternities and sororities, not just your traditional stereotypical Greek life organizations. And then also clubs, like I was like Victoria, and that's actually kind of how we met. I was really involved with some of the on-campus political organizations. So, you know, whatever your persuasion is, I would, you know, absolutely encourage being involved in that way. And then there's just no shortage of clubs. Like if that's your thing, there's no shortage of clubs. There's random clubs for everything. I mean, there's like food clubs, you know, fashion clubs, there's sports clubs, like there's no shortage of those types of ways to get involved. And I think also extracurricular internships, right? I mean, it's free work, but it's an extracurricular, and it's a piece of how you figure out what you're interested in, what you like and what you don't like. And, you know, hopefully it leads to a career path.
Good. Another question that an attendee has is, how were the dorms? If you guys lived in the dorms, how were they?
Gilbert, what were
I
your
just
experience
always,
like? Yeah.
Gilbert's
Yes,
face shows
Gilbert,
for
yes.
certain questions.
We're all working from home in a pandemic. I forget how to socially interact sometimes. I have a lot of face, like a lot of.
The dorms, how were they?
The dorms were horrible, but I know that some dorms are like amazing.
Were they for you?
Yeah.
Dorms were amazing for me.
Oh my God, no, horrible.
What happened?
Well, so my freshman year, I was at San Francisco State. The dorms were at least 80 years old. I don't know, they were terrible. And it was like, there's Mary Park Hall and Mary Ward Hall, like these two 8-story buildings right next to each other. And it was just terrible. Like they were old, smelly. The furniture was old. It was a small room that we were in. And I think I had like the traditional dorm experience where there was like one bathroom on the floor that the whole floor shared. So it's like you're going to the bathroom, you know, brush your teeth in the morning or take a shower, whatever have you, in flip-flops, because like you don't know what's going on. Shower.
And your shower caddy.
Yes. They were horrible. However, best experience of my life.
Oh, okay.
That's how I meet so many of my friends. All of my like a huge party on the on the floor all the time, because that's where all your friends live. You all live together in the dorms. And then like going to the dining center, like terrible food, but fun, like fun going with all your friends.
Not my experience.
So it was fun, but it was just.
Don't go to SF State, folks, for the dorm experience.
No.
Go to Long Beach State instead.
So how was your experience, Victoria? Didn't sound like it was
great.
anything like Gilbert.
No, it was nothing like Gilbert. So I'm really weird about that kind of stuff, like living with people. Before I moved from Porterville to Long Beach, I was really weird about it. Like I had to look at the floor plans of each of the dorms. I did like the virtual tours. Like I overly looked into the dorms. So at Long Beach, there's different like houses or whatever. There's different types. So the one I chose, it was a suite style. So in the middle of the two separate areas was like a common area for just our suite. So it was all girls. Just our suite had a middle area with a fridge, and we always gathered there together. And then like on each side, I think it was like 4 girls on one side and 5 girls on the other. And we each had our own bathroom. So it was 2 bathrooms, and we shared like this center. then within the actual dorm, there was also a communal area where we had like get-togethers. So it was, I did not have what Gilbert had. I had a suite dorm, which was way nicer.
That's luxury, right?
Shower caddy and the flip-flops, but not as many people that you share your bathroom with, which is I think is a better experience than sharing your bathroom with multiple people. But also at Long Beach, in the dining halls, every month there was like a list of activities for just people that dormed, and like $5 to go to the Griffith Observatory, or like $5 to go to this really far like place to go hiking. I did moonlight kayaking in Newport Beach. Like there was just all kinds of activities that you do, and you just meet so many people, and it's just like built-in friendships. It's just like automatic built-in friendships. Yeah, I'm sorry, Felix. I mean, Gilbert, that was your experience.
It was terrible infrastructure, but like best experience. Like amazing friends, fun times.
Yes, fun times. You kind of struggle together, but it like bonds you.
Yeah. Vincent Vang has a question. Did job security ever play a role in your major?
No, and I'll answer this one because I think I was the creative in here. So, starving artist. So I chose theater because I wanted to be an actor at the time, and like creativity and performing is still a very big part of my life. But one of the things that I was also like advised is study something you're really passionate about, because then you're going to get super good grades. You're going to really immerse yourself in it. And like everyone's saying, like none of us knew where we'd be at 18, right? You can choose a major and say like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor because everyone, is there. You're always going to need a doctor, but you never know where you're going to end up if you're actually going to go to medical school. You might figure out something else that you love along the way. So I think, in order to get a really good college experience is think about what it is that you're just super passionate about, and something that you really just want to throw yourself into, and then pick up some skills along the way so that like you have, something to pay the bills after college. So I worked retail right after college, right? While I was establishing other things, and I did makeup, and I learned some makeup skills in my theatrical program, right? So I was able to find a job real quick while I worked on everything else. So no, I think you'll be a lot happier, in your life if you get to choose something that like you're going to throw your heart into.
Awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. Another question we have from an attendee is, how big of an impact does volunteering have on your application for college? If anybody wants to answer that. So volunteering, how big of an impact is it when you apply for colleges?
I think it depends, right? Depends on what college you're trying to go for, how competitive it is, how competitive you are as a whole individual versus everybody else. Like if you're from the Central Valley and you grew up like low, middle income, you're from a small town, no one's ever gone to college before, you kind of have a leg up a little bit over someone who like overly volunteers and is in a big city. Just because not a lot of people from small towns actually end up at a four-year college. So you kind of can just push your story a little bit more than somebody that has all the extracurriculars that they're surrounded by. And I think Felix, Cynthia, Kat, and Gilbert can probably attest to that.
Yeah, I think they want to see like a well-rounded individual. So like, let's say like your test scores or your grades aren't so hot, but you have like really great extracurriculars, you have a really great story, you volunteered, and you're like, I volunteered at the, animal shelter and I want to be a vet. So they kind of take that's a story. So you really got to think of who you are and how you're presenting yourself to the school or to the major. Because some colleges, you have to get accepted into the major to be accepted into the school. So you really have to look into those kind of things. and prepare yourself as like, okay, this is why I'm a standout candidate. This is why I should go to your school, because I'm going to just make you look amazing once I graduate. So it depends. It really depends. But I mean, volunteering is super fun too. So like, you know, don't think about it just as like, oh, I need to do this for my college. No, it's super fun. You get a lot of job skills. You meet people. There's some perks. I used to volunteer for a film festival, and they would always send me home with goodies. So, you know, there's different things that you can do.
Yeah, that's always good. Another question we have from an attendee is, would you recommend going to community college first, instead of a UC college?
Or maybe like a community college first before going to any type of 4-year?
Yes, before going, yep.
I think it depends. Go ahead, Felix.
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, go ahead.
That's just, there's stats about that like your chances of actually going from the community college to a 4-year university are actually really low. But I ultimately, like a teacher once told us about that, was ultimately it's on you, like how determined are you to move on to a 4-year college. So, I mean, if you're going to put in the work, I know you could save money by doing that, but like only you know yourself. So it's like, are you going to put in the work to move on to that 4-year college? And I can attest to, I actually know a lot of people that have done the community college and don't move on to a 4-year college. Like they start the process and then they just kind of like give up. So again, it's just how determined are you, and like, do you really want to do that? I mean, I don't know.
It all depends on the individual as well.
I would say
Gilbert, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. I mean, I don't think there's a right answer. I it's just different for different folks, right? I mean, sometimes the absolute best option for you and your family is to go to community college for 2 years, whether it's financial or just kind of social emotional, that it makes sense to be at home for 2 years and go to community college, and then have that goal and determination to transfer to a 4-year, whether it's 30 minutes from your house or 3 hours or across the country. Or some folks, the best option is to go straight from high school to a 4-year. And I, nor anybody on this panel, can give you the right answer. It's really up to you and your family. And I say family like with a little bit of an asterisk, just because, you know, you need that support, whether it's financial or social and emotional. Perhaps you're relying on loans and grants. But truly, at the end of the day, when you boil it down, it's like your mom and your dad are not going to college. Your grandma's not going to college. It's you. So you have to take the time to really think about what makes sense and what feels right. And it will be scary, like going from, I mean, I grew up in a smaller community than even Porterville, right? I grew up in a community of about 20,000 folks. And so it is scary to be 18 years old going from a small rural community to, 30,000 people at San Diego State. But it's also exciting, right? So you have to make that determination for yourself.
Thank you. All right, we have about 10 minutes. We do want to make sure that, we're considerate of your time. We have another one from Alice. How did moving to an out-of-state college work? I don't think any of you guys moved to an out-of-state college, but if you have any maybe intel in regards to how it could possibly work for someone, what recommendations you might have.
So I had a friend who went out of state. So one thing to know is that tuition is a lot more expensive if you go out of state. And then you have again, like social emotional gets a lot trickier support, right? My friend decided not to come home for spring breaks a couple years, so I went up to visit her in Washington. So you have to really think about those kind of things. Like, again, your tuition will be higher, but it's just like applying like every other like school. You just submit your application, you get accepted, you get or not, and then you just do the move. And then again, like how much financial aid are they going to be able to offer you? My friend was fortunate that, you know, her parents actually covered the cost of her college, so she didn't have to worry about that. But, you know, that is something that you would be mindful of. And again, traveling home, you know, how quick can you get there if something happens? But it also could be an awesome experience because you get to see a whole different part of the world, a whole, you know, different kind of lifestyle or community. Maybe it's where your career is gonna like get you like where you need to be in order to get into that field. But there are different considerations, but I think the application process, the exact same way.
Thank you, Cynthia. Another quick question. What are some types of scholarships that are offered for grades and sports? If you guys have any that maybe you came across, or any, you know, tips on where they may be able to look for that, find that out for the attendees?
Actually, since I'm actually back in school and potentially or eventually transferring to UNLV, I actually have a bold.org profile, and that basically helps kind of filter out certain scholarships or grants that I may qualify for one, or that kind of pertain to what I'm studying. So that's helpful. Also, if you're a person of color, there's a lot of scholarships out there for you. I'm actually in a API sorority, and I was able to get scholarships from them. But going into college, I applied for, you know, there's local scholarships that you can find, you know, booster clubs or things like that. But also, I mean, if you can look into possible scholarships within the area of your potential school, I would say apply there. There's a lot of companies that do offer scholarships. My older sister is actually she's a senior project manager for AT&T, and AT&T actually provides scholarships to about 10 high school seniors. So it's, you know, you can find, there's large companies that will do it. There's smaller local companies that will provide scholarships. It's definitely possible to find something that's geared towards you.
Awesome, thank you. And I don't know who wants to answer this one. Attendee wants to know, what were your stats, your grades, your test scores? Maybe grades, just an average.
And the requirements, test scores. I don't think our test scores, we could even give you a number and it would even translate well, right? I don't even remember. You guys remember?
You don't have that on your resume?
Your grades.
I know, my ACT, SAT,
yeah.
my resume. I think
How about your grades?
The average in high school, like 3.4. I think that was mine.
Yeah, I was at about like weighted, because like weighted and unweighted.
Weighted? Right? Okay. Oh, we're doing weighted?
Like gross income? No.
I think I was at about a 3.6 when I graduated. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's also, you got to know that like they look at your profiles, but they look at a lot of different things. And then to find, I think the question was like, or maybe the next question that I saw, go to the school's website, go to like, if you go to the website, they all have one. You go to like prospective students, and then they'll tell you what to do to apply. They'll tell you what they're looking for. They tell you who they've accepted and what their stats were. But also, don't be afraid to apply, because again, you might be that one person who they like really want there, and they'll accept you regardless of where you're at on their range.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, another question is a UC or a four-year college hard to get into, and do you know what they look for? I think you kind of all established that, answered that a little bit. Is there anything you want to add to that question? What is it you think the UC, the universities look for?
UCs and CSUs, they have different requirements, right? Like, or as like something as like, let's see, you gotta have algebra 2. Like, you had to have an algebra 2 at least to get into I'm just using this as an example, like a CSU compared to a UC, they might want something a little higher than that. Am I correct? Like,
yeah, I think if you focus on your A through G courses, and it's just a set of different courses in your math, your English, your science, your foreign language. If you tackle those during your high school career, then you're basically kind of set to apply to a college, and they feel like you've had the foundational knowledge in order to get in. But each of them have their own criteria of who they pick, right? And so I know the UCs, there's some that accept only about 20% of their applicants. Some UCs accept about 50% of their applicants. So it really depends on them. Again, if you go to the school's website, you'll be able to pull up all their statistics on who they've accepted, and what their applicants or their accepted applicants, what their criteria was. Again, if you just focus on just being the best student that you can be and apply to a wide range of schools, like, you'll get somewhere that you feel comfortable with.
That'll fall into this next question they had. What grades would you guys recommend to get into a UC or four-year college? UC, USC. What grades do you guys recommend?
We're good on that.
I mean, I didn't go to a UC, right? I went to a CSU, but I think the short answer is the best grades you possibly can. Like, bust your butt and try to get that 4.0, quite frankly. I mean, the UC system is a very competitive system. It's the greatest public education system in the world. And so if you want to go to UC Berkeley, UCLA, CSU, or UC Santa Barbara, San Diego, what have you, you need top grades. That's just the reality of it. So put in the work.
And when I was working in Southern California, I worked in a very wealthy, affluent community near Ranchos Palos Verdes, San Pedro area. And those high school students were already volunteering at a very early age. Like, they were on campaigns, their schools really encouraged them to be civically engaged, like at 10th grade, 11th grade. I remember when I lived in Florida in high school, I was already volunteering at a hospital for like every Friday in order to get this specific scholarship. So people are starting really early in high school to get into these top schools. If you're thinking about getting into UC your senior year, not saying it's not impossible, but people have started, like Cynthia said, freshman year. So these are really important things to think about if you're trying to be a well-rounded person. Not saying you should do everything and anything, but really just start thinking about what your focus should be, what college you want to go to, and starting early.
I mean, just attending this panel, like, I feel like you guys already increased your chances of going to like a four-year college, just because you're getting information that most people aren't going to get, and you guys are getting it from us, I guess.
Thank you. Well, that comes to the end of our time here. Thank you so much to each individual, Felix, Gilbert, Victoria, Kat, Cynthia, for all the awesome questions. I know that we still have two more, so I know, Cynthia, if you want to go ahead and stay on and answer it for the attendees, you can, but I really appreciate, I've learned a lot myself, I've gone from junior college like Victoria and took my time and eventually did get my bachelor's, working on my master's now myself. So it does take, some time. You're never too old for it. I have my 19-year-old who's going to community college and ready to just transfer to a UC. So I hope all this information also will help and guide him. So I appreciate all the questions, all the answers that you guys have provided. Thank you so much. And it's been great.
So I'll stay on to answer any leftover questions. If you guys panelists, if you want to take off, you're totally welcome. Or if you want to continue to stay on and answer some questions, that's fine too. Okay, so feel free to leave and I'll tackle the next questions. Okay, so how much does the essay part of the college applications impact your chances of admission? Are we all staying?
They're in it for the long haul.
If I log off now, if everyone's staying.
Yeah, no, again, feel free to leave. So I think, again, it's that balance, but you want to put in that effort into the college application and in your personal statement. So usually, I think all of us had to write a personal statement to get somewhere. And that's super important because they do kind of look at your writing, see where you're at, and they look at the message and what kind of person you are, and are you going to fit into that environment and that they're creating at their campus? Who, if any of you guys want to add on to that one.
No, you're the only UC person here.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That UC specific, yeah.
A personal statement for CSU.
I don't think, CSU, I don't think there is a personal statement, right? Like you just apply.
I believe it was like a short answer, if I'm not mistaken. But I do remember the personal statement, and it's honestly, so it seems like it's a difficult thing to do. Sorry if you hear my dogs.
You're fine. Keep going.
But it seems when you look at it, just quickly, it seems like it's really complicated to kind of put, like, you're like, wait, there's 1,500 words, like that seems impossible. And then you actually start writing it, and then you realize, like, how can I actually tell these people who I am within this character limitation? Because you as a whole, you're way more than 1,500 words. You're beyond that, and to kind of condense yourself into figuring out parts of you that you want to show to these people, it's definitely difficult. But I would say, take the time to do it. If you can, go online and see, all these personal statements that people have written. It's been 10 years, so I don't even know what mine was about, to be honest. But you have resources. Pretty sure you can find a panel somewhere. You can find these like discussion boards with with people kind of sharing their experiences. There's, again, just definitely reach out and figure out how to kind of set your profile up to make you the top candidate.
I think that ended the question and answer. So actually, since you guys are all on, thank you so much for going over, why don't you guys, a piece of advice for someone who wants to go straight to a 4-year right after high school, what would you leave them with? Or what is something that you wish someone would have told you?
I'll go first. I think Cynthia, you said you applied to several colleges.
No, just five.
I applied to one. So I think what I wish I had done was diversified, right? I wish that I had applied to more colleges. I wish I would have applied to a range of colleges, CSUs, UCs, as well as private schools. I don't have a lot of undergraduate experience with private universities. I got my master's degree from a private university, but I would really encourage folks to look at private colleges as well. California has amazing private colleges, both large and small, right? Stanford University, but as well as USD and USF and University of, I think, Redlands and University of Laverne. I think there's so many private universities as well. So more colleges and then a diversified number of colleges, because you never know where you're going to land, and you never know what you're going to fall in love with. So that's what I would have done different.
Someone asked how much are application fees?
Yeah,
I feel like
they vary. I feel like it was about $30 or $40, maybe a little more. But the best place to get that answer is on the individual college websites. You get a ton of information. They walk you through exactly what they're looking for, what to expect in the application process. So you just go to like, ucsb.edu and, there it is with all the information. Victoria, Kat, Felix, any like parting words of advice?
Go for it, Kat, Felix.
Sorry, my dogs are just going wild. Felix, if you want to hop in while these dudes hash it out.
They do sound wild.
I would say just do your research, ask questions. I personally don't think there's such thing as a stupid question. So, like, if you're not understanding something, just look for someone that might give you the answer. I know Kat mentioned social media. You have so many resources to do so. So, like, use them. And again, research everything, ask questions. Again, attending this panel already like gives you a head start to what to look forward to and what you might need to look into. So start now, I would say, like as soon as possible. And that way, by the time it comes to apply for these schools or scholarships, because again, that's going to eventually overlap. And just as scholarships also have deadlines and those schools have deadlines, it's like you really want to keep all that in mind. And scholarships is free money, I mean, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's probably the best advice I can give.
For me, I mean, I think entering a complete new world, and it's an unknown territory is going to be extremely unsettling to some, but it can definitely be, one of the most gratifying experiences ever. It really sets up to who you will potentially be and who you want to be. So you guys are doing, you like Felix said, there's a head start already. You're curious about something, so you're taking your time, your own time to do your own research and to figure out things for for yourself. There's usually that's like calstate.edu. I'm guessing for UCs it's going to be ucs.edu. There's things like that. So do the research yourself. Reach out to anyone. There you have resources. So that's the biggest thing, to set yourself up for success. Use your resources, and that is still that's still something that I honestly live by till this day. And I'm 29, so it's definitely it's also it's like you've heard it before. It's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That applies to a lot of things.
Victoria, any parting words?
I think my main thing is go visit the campuses. We talked about in the other panel. Go visit the campuses, get a feel for the city that you want to be in. Don't just apply and then just go. I chose Long Beach after going on a nice road trip with my best friend. And we visited a bunch of different campuses, private, UC, CSU, and I fell in love with the pyramid at Long Beach. And that's how I wanted to go there. There's like a pyramid where they play basketball, where they filmed, what's that movie? Space Jam. They filmed Space Jam in there. So you never know what you like. So just go and see it in person. Like I went to Cal State LA to visit the campus and I was like, whoa, it's not for me. But it could be for you, so you don't know. So go visit and explore. Just take the time with your family and with your friends. It's a good experience.
And then I think last for me, I think, you know, anything is possible. You just got to put in the work. Like, it's a simple solution. It's going to take some work, hard work, and know that, like, reach out to people, like Kat says, like in what we've been talking about. You really just ask for, you know, help when you need it from your teachers, from your counselors, you know, from your after school program, like the Boys and Girls Club. You know, everyone's here to help, and everyone is, you know, wanting to help you succeed as well. So again, thank you so much for your time. It is over, so the time again. So if you have any further questions, feel free to email me. It's the one on the registration. I'll be happy to answer those questions moving forward. Also, let me know if you guys like the panel, because I could maybe talk the panelists into coming on again, some, you know, for a future time as well. So again, thank you so much you know, for coming, guys. Thank you so much for attending, everyone. Letty, anything else you want to add?
No, you guys were all great. It was awesome information from both nights. I know that it's a lot to experience doing what we do as far as for Boys and Girls Club. We've done a program career launch, and it does indicate, you know, as Kat mentioned, do not wait till your senior year. I mean, for us, it's even emphasizing it 8th grade year. You know, start thinking of what you, where you want to do, what you want to do. Start exploring it with volunteering. So you guys all hit it pretty much on the noggin of doing what you want to do by volunteering and getting yourself out there and experiences. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely got some information to even take back to my kiddos, you know, my own personal ones and the ones at the Boys and Girls Club that I can share with. So I do appreciate your guys' time, and it's been fun.
All right. Thank you, guys, and thank you for everyone attending. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.